I never thought much about people disappearing. Sure, I'd seen news reports, missing posters taped to streetlights, and the occasional social media post pleading for help. But those were just stories, something that happened to other people. Until it happened to my best friend. Ethan and I had been inseparable since childhood. We grew up in the same neighborhood, played on the same basketball team, even got our first jobs at the same diner. If there was anyone I thought I knew better than myself, it was him. That's why, when he vanished one night without a trace, I couldn't accept it. The last time I saw him was exactly 3 days ago. We were at a bar downtown, just catching up after work. Ethan had been distracted the whole evening, checking his phone, glancing over his shoulder like he was expecting someone. When I asked him what was up, he just shook his head. Nothing, man. Just a weird feeling. I should have pushed him to explain. I should have asked more questions. But I didn't. That was my biggest mistake. When I woke up the next morning, I had a missed call from him at 2:37 a.m. No voicemail, no text. Just the call. I tried calling back, but it went straight to voicemail. By the end of the day, his sister was calling me, asking if I'd seen him. Then his coworkers. Then the police. Ethan was gone. No activity on his credit cards. His car still parked outside his apartment. Phone off. No security footage showing where he went. It was as if he had simply vanished into thin air. But I knew Ethan. He wouldn't just disappear. Something had happened to him, and I was going to find out what, even if it meant following his last footsteps into the unknown. For 2 days, I searched everywhere Ethan might have gone. His apartment, our usual hangout spots, even the old basketball court where we used to kill time as kids. Nothing. It was like he had been erased from existence. But then, on the third day, something changed. I got a message. It came from an unknown number, just a single text, sent at exactly 2:37 a.m. The same time Ethan had called me the night he disappeared. The message contained only one thing, a location pin. I hesitated. This had to be a joke, right? Maybe some sick prank. But something in my gut told me otherwise. I clicked the pin. It marked a spot just outside the city. A remote wooded area near an old, abandoned road. A place we had never been before. A chill ran down my spine. Someone or something wanted me to go there. I took a deep breath, grabbed my car keys, and made a decision. I was going to that location. And if Ethan was there, I was bringing him home. The drive felt longer than it should have. The farther I went, the fewer streetlights I saw. The road narrowed, cracks running through the pavement like veins. My GPS showed I was getting closer, but something about this place felt wrong. The air seemed heavier. The trees loomed taller, their twisted branches reaching toward my car like skeletal fingers. My headlights barely cut through the darkness. Then finally I arrived. I pulled over at the pin's exact location, a dirt clearing on the side of the road. There was no sign of Ethan, no other cars, no buildings, just the dense forest swallowing everything beyond the reach of my lights. I checked my phone. No signal. A deep, uneasy feeling settled in my chest. Maybe this was a mistake. Maybe I should turn around. Then I saw it. A single footprint in the damp earth. It was fresh, and next to it, partially covered by fallen leaves, lay something even worse, Ethan's phone. I picked it up with trembling fingers. The screen was cracked, but when I pressed the power button, it flickered to life. There was only one thing on it. A video, recorded at 2:37 a.m. Heart pounding, I pressed play. The screen was almost completely dark, but I could hear breathing, labored, frantic. Then Ethan's voice whispering, "If you're seeing this, it's too late. Don't come looking for me. It knows. It's watching, and it won't let me go." A loud snap in the distance made me spin around. Something was out there, watching me. I froze, my heart racing. I tried to shake off the rising panic, but the whispering sound, it was real, coming from the trees. Soft, barely audible at first, but growing louder by the second. It wasn't just the wind. I stepped back, scanning the shadows, trying to make out anything through the darkness. But there was nothing, just the trees swaying in the breeze. The air felt too still, too heavy, as if the world around me had paused. I reached into my jacket pocket and grabbed the flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness, landing on the undergrowth, the distant trees. No sign of movement, but the whispering persisted. I felt it in my bones now. Something was out there, something that was toying with me. I turned back to the car and opened the door. I needed to leave, but just as I was about to step inside, I heard something else, closer this time. A soft thud, like footsteps on the ground. I spun around. A figure stood at the edge of the clearing. It was barely visible in the shadows, but there was no mistaking it. A tall silhouette, standing motionless, watching me. I couldn't make out the details, but the outline was unmistakable. It was human-shaped, but wrong. Too still, too unnatural. I froze, my body refusing to move, my mind struggling to process what I was seeing. Then, slowly, the figure stepped forward, its movement jerky, like it was fighting against something inside it. That's when I realized it wasn't walking. It was dragging itself toward me. Every step was labored, like it was being pulled by invisible strings, its limbs twitching unnaturally with each movement. I felt a wave of nausea rise in my throat. I stepped backward, slowly trying to stay calm. My legs felt like lead. The figure stopped. For a moment, everything was silent again. Then it whispered, "You shouldn't have come here." The voice was not Ethan's. It was low, guttural, like it didn't belong to any human being. And in that moment, I understood. This wasn't just about Ethan anymore. This thing was waiting for me. I didn't wait to see what would happen next. The figure stepped forward again, but this time I was already running. My heart pounded in my chest as I sprinted toward my car, barely aware of the cold air rushing past my face. I fumbled for the keys, my hands shaking, but somehow managed to unlock the door. I slammed it shut behind me and started the engine, the headlights flashing on as I threw the car into drive. I didn't dare look in the rearview mirror. I just drove, faster than I ever had before. The road stretched endlessly ahead of me, but all I could think about was that figure, that twisted, jerking motion. Felt like it was following me. My phone buzzed in the passenger seat, breaking the eerie silence. I glanced down. Another message. This time it wasn't from Ethan. The text was short, chilling. "You can't outrun it." I slammed the brakes and jerked the car to a stop. My hands were trembling so badly that I could barely hold onto the wheel. Then the phone buzzed again, and this time the message was a photo. I didn't need to open it to know what I would see. The figure, standing just outside my car, its fingers pressed against the window. The same eyes, empty, hollow, watching me. It was here, in the car with me. I screamed, foot slamming down on the gas pedal again, speeding down the road. The trees blurred around me, the wind howling outside. But no matter how fast I went, I couldn't shake the feeling of its presence. I looked around frantically, but there was nothing. No figure, no movement. I kept driving until the road started to feel familiar again, until I reached the edge of the city. But I didn't stop. Couldn't. It was only when I pulled into a gas station, my car screeching to a halt in the parking lot, that I dared to take a breath. I stepped out, eyes scanning the darkness around me. The streetlights were dim, flickering in the heavy night air. Then I turned back to the car, and there it was. On the window, in thick condensation, a message had appeared. "You were never meant to leave."